So Michael, on those days when I like prefacing it, when things are going to be busy, it's not the perfect day. It's going to be a little
Mm-hmm.
crunched maybe. What are the habits you're going to make sure you don't drop? These are the ones that no matter what, for the most part,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to hold on to.
Well, one of them we talked about a little while ago, man, is really I always try to take some time out to think about what I'm
We're
thinking
thinking
about.
about, I love that line. Yeah.
Like I really do, man. I just sit and say, okay, why am I rushed today? Why am I rushed? What do I need to do? Like I'm okay with spending some time just thinking about what I'm thinking about, man. John Maxwell told me once, and it's brilliant, and I actually did this. He got a chair that he uses just to think in. So I have a chair too, and all I do is I go in there and I pray in that chair, or I'll just think like and just take a breath and ask myself, okay, what's going on? And then any time that something new happens where I feel my heart rate go up a little bit, I'll try to check myself and just be like, what are you thinking about right now? Like I always challenge my own thinking, but I try to do it in the midst of while I'm thinking. I know that sounds real heady.
No,
Yeah.
again, I'm enamored with it, just like I was when we did the first show talking about that. So I've got my, from an athletic standpoint, I got my little
Mm-hmm.
smart watch that
Mm-hmm.
records my GPS of where I'm running and riding, my heart rate and even my heart rate variability and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, how great would that be for it to be monitoring me? I'm sure there's some
Wow.
biochemical
Yeah.
aspect, and it just shows me, man, you're kind of your heart rate's, you're sitting at your computer, you're just looking at the screen, you've been sitting here for an hour, there's no reason, but your heart rate just jacked up. What's going on? I need that
Exactly.
flag. Yeah.
Yeah. Just to really think. And sometimes, I mean, we've all, I think everybody can do this. You ever have a conversation with someone and while they're talking, you're thinking, but you're
Usually.
you're
Yeah.
listening, but you're also thinking at the same time.
Mhm.
The question I like to ask in those moments is, what can I do for this person? Like instead, I try to zoom in and think about what I'm thinking about in the midst of that conversation. So that's one of the habits that I work on a lot. And it just kind of once you do it, you'll notice it a lot and be like, oh, huh. And what's funny too is you'll find more opportunities to pray. Like you'll see
Mm.
somebody randomly and you'll think about that person. You'll see him and be like, man, that guy's at the bus stop and it looks like why is he bent over like that as he sits down? Yeah, I'm just going to pray for him. Like it just cause you to be way more aware of what's really going on in the unseen versus just dealing with what you happen to see. Like it
Yeah.
just, I like the exercise of that, man.
Give me some other primary daily habits of Michael Jr.
Yeah.
What do you do for your wellness?
So I just decided to stop. Like, I'll do at least 80 ounces of water a day. The issue that I'm running into with that though is I don't really like water. So I have a tendency to do it all in about an hour. My wife is like, you gotta sip. I'm like, I can't be sipping. Of course I'm going to the bathroom the whole day as
Yeah.
well. So I do try to take in a lot of water. And I'm
Yeah.
just now to the point where I can get back to working out. I was out for a little while because I had a pinched nerve, but I
Mm.
work out 5 days a week. Uh, really, really super intense for not a super long time. My workouts are way less than 40 minutes. They're probably like 20 minutes long, but it's five or less, but it's super intense and it's 5 days a week.
Like
So
hit workout kind of stuff. What do you specifically?
like some cardio with some hit in the middle and then back to some cardio stuff. And then another thing that I do is we have it only works sometimes, but this is so cool, man. So you got to do this. If you guys have access to this, you got to do it. So we have a jacuzzi, right? But the jacuzzi is always averaging, it seems like right around 58 degrees for whatever reason. So what I'll do is before I get into the shower, I'll just go to the jacuzzi, go under for like I try to do 20 seconds, but that stuff is hard, especially
Yeah.
when I have to deep freeze.
Yeah.
I'll just go under there and just stay as long as I can and then come up. Dude, when you come up out of there, you feel like a king.
Yeah.
Like the thing is nothing about my body wants to do it. Like there's no part of me that wants to do it. But one of the greatest lines I heard, I think Tony Robbins said it was, I refuse to negotiate with myself.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be negotiating. So I'll just go do it. And afterwards, you feel amazing. Or I'll turn on in the middle of my hot shower, I'll just turn it to cold for about 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Cold, cold. And that
Yeah.
stuff is nowhere near comfortable. But I like to get into the habit of not doing what feels good.
Yeah.
Meaning, I know my brain is like, no, 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 no. But I'm telling my body that I'm in charge. Like, you
Yeah.
don't tell me what to do. I'm in charge. So it's almost like a way to break the comfortableness instead of trying to be comfortable all the time. So that's a big thing I do. Comfort is a drug, and I don't really like doing drugs. Man, in fact, I don't do drugs. It's a better way to say it.
We're in a comfort culture, probably the highest I think we've ever been. And that's one of those, the kind of the ice plunge. I know Tony Robbins is real big into that and the cold
Mm-hmm.
showers. And I've been doing that, though I always want extra credit because I live at 9,200 feet above sea level in the Rocky Mountains and my water comes from a well. It's cold. It's really
My
cold.
goodness.
It doesn't get any colder than
Wow. How
that.
often do you do the cold plunge? I mean, how often do you do one?
No, I
Cold
do
shower, cold
the
shower.
shower, but we have a lake up here that I'll do pretty frequently as well. But I was just in
Yeah.
Florida in a cold shower down there. It's not a cold shower.
It's not even a cold shower,
It's
dude.
not even a cold shower. No.
Yeah,
How-
and I think it's a little more on it too, because I'm black and we don't really mess around with water that much. I just want to say that. So yeah, I'll take some extra points too.
okay, I'll poke at that. I'll poke at that when I lived with one of my best friends for a long time who is black, and he said we don't like the cold. We just don't.
No, or water.
Yeah,
Now you put
yeah,
them together, cold water. Oh
it's no good.
no, no, please.
How about nutritionally? What do you do there? We got any specific habits there?
So my wife has a degree in culinary arts, and I do this thing where it's a diet called obey.
I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. You just obey your wife and you eat what she tells you to eat.
You totally got me with that. I was waiting for what the acronym stood for. Okay.
You were zoomed in.
I
No, no, no. So
was.
I will eat whatever my wife is doing. Probably, I think we just agreed to do 4 days a week, vegetarian
Uh-huh.
or if not vegan or whatever. And I'm just following her lead on it because I can't. It's just too much conflicting research out there. So I just
Yeah.
go with what she says. Like I don't know what. Like if it's free, can gluten really be that bad? I mean, it's free. Like
Yeah.
no, I'm just like so. I just listen. I really listen to my wife. I defer to her on that one for sure, man.
You know, I want to hit on this because you are Tom Ziglar was talking about this recently. I mean, you are on stage literally. So you know you're doing movies. You're on the stage there. I had an actor on recently as well, and your physical appearance is. I think it's important for everybody, but it's paramount for you to solve. Do you feel that pressure
Yes.
a lot more?
Um, Not so much. I'm in pretty good shape, and I look really, really fit, even though I haven't worked out in probably a month because of this pinched nerve. I don't
Yeah,
know what. I don't even know where those come from. Like, who in the world came up with the idea of a pinched nerve? It is
it's
doggone miserable.
horrific. Yeah,
Like, it is miserable. But I feel like I do want to present on stage. I feel like I'm funnier when I'm thin, but if I'm a little puffy, I just don't feel as funny. I know that seems weird. I just don't think I'm as engaging if I'm breathing hard on stage. I'm just like, so the other day
yeah.
no, I need to be able to move and jump and have fun. That's a big deal for me. And I still do the same thing where we're talking about habits. I do also play basketball often. I'm not a treadmill person, mainly because I like to accomplish something while I'm working out. Like I need to see some progress. If I'm on a treadmill, I feel like a gerbil or something. I can't really do the treadmill stuff. But yeah, that's how I get down, man.
Yeah, it's funny you talking about feeling fluffy on stage. There's not a good track record for overweight comedians. Most of them seem to die, literally. Uh,
Yeah, it's really not that good, man.
Not that good. What
Not
about
that good at all.
on just the input side of your life, the getting the positive input? What do you turn to?
So I hopefully will knock it out 3 times this year, but I read the Bible constantly.
Hmm.
I still don't understand all of it, but I'm constantly reading it. So I'll probably read through it 3 times this year. And then I also am constantly reading books. Like I just read again, Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I read Funny How Life Works. That's a great book. Oh my goodness, you read that book?
I've heard.
Oh, you
I'm
got
gonna
to get
check it
that book.
out.
So I'm constantly. Oh, and I'm also reading. I just after Rich Dad Poor Dad, I'm going to Think and Grow Rich. So I'm constantly putting as much good information as I can in my head, and because whatever you put in your heart is going to be revealed in your walk. So the main thing I do is the Bible. I mean, I'm doing it on audio as well. I'm constantly listening to the Bible and getting it into my heart, because I think, like, people ask me often on stage, they'll be like, where did you get this insight from? Like, how did you
Yeah.
know to say that at that time? And the truth is I don't really know, except for the fact that God gave you that insight in that moment. Because again, from the abundance of the heart, the mouth will speak. So I'm doing everything I can. I'm talking about every day, every single day. I'm filling my heart up with God's word every day. I probably did 3 chapters today. Like, I'm just digging, putting as much as I can in there. And then it just shows up. Wisdom just kind of shows up, and I'm saying stuff and helping people. And I'm like, man, that's good. I'm taking notes all day long. Like, thoughts will pop in my head. I'm like, oh, snap, let me write this down. And I know it's coming from reading this Bible so much.
You told me something years ago that I have referenced and I have never forgotten. And you said you made it a habit to hit your
Oh, getting
knees.
out the
Yep.
bed. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
That is a big one. I didn't want to do a repeat, but let me tell everybody
No,
what
no,
it
no.
is.
I want to bring it back up because it stuck.
Yeah.
That stuck with me.
Yeah. So the first thing I do, I did it this morning, is I hit my knees before my feet when I
Yeah.
get out of bed. Every single morning before I make any decisions, I go to my knees first and just thank God. Just think about it, dude. Like the breath that I'm breathing, He gave it to me. Like, ever think about that? Like, have you ever tried to hold your breath? Like, just hold it for 2 minutes if you can.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't even have that if not. That stuff blows me away. So it's the very first thing I do. And our bed is, I think since we talked last, our bed is much taller. We got this new mattress. It's a long way down there, but I literally would go to my knees before my feet, man. And it sets the tone daily for that. That's a big
That's
deal
funny
for
you
me.
say that because my bed is like that. I built my bed. I do this
Hmm.
woodworking stuff and I built it, and my wife wanted it really high so she could put like stuff underneath it. And what, so yeah, that's a danger to my knees to jump out like Michael Jr. and hit my knees
Right.
before my feet. When when you're looking at just well, you say you're not traveling as much. I mean, in your work though, what are
Hmm.
some of the disciplines, the habits that you in your, I was to say as a comedian, but that's not, how do you reference yourself these days? If
You know,
they say, what are
somebody
your
said
kids
it
going to
really.
tell? Yeah.
Somebody said it really well, man. Recently, they said a comedic thought leader, and I was like,
Okay.
ooh, I like that. I like comedic thought leader because
Okay.
I do like thoughts, and I'm comedic. So I don't
So
know.
what are the
Anyway.
disciplines in there? I mean, you just said one that was you're
Hmm.
always, obviously you're thinking about what you're thinking about. You're aware of what's going on. You're writing notes. So that sounds like that's a primary discipline for cause you're a
Yes.
content creator.
Yes. So I'm constantly writing notes, but then on top of that, I set time aside to go through the notes. So even in my notes in the morning when I pray, so oh, this is a good one. I actually whenever I pray and I feel like God is saying something to me, I'll write it down. I'll put a date next to it, but then I'll stroll through my notes and I'll put a date through it, and then after the next day, I'll read my notes and I'll start at the top, and any note that I read, I'll put a slash by it. And then I'll stroll all the way down. And when I say stroll all the way down, it's a lot of doggone notes on here. I got notes. These notes start in 2012. So I just got note after note after note after note, right? But if I see one slash, that means I read that note already, and I'll go to the next one. So I can ensure that I'm going through all my notes that I feel like what God has been saying to me. And I'm telling you, the most amazing part about this exercise is I'll get to a random note that it's time for me to read. It's the next note down, and it'll be something that I need on that day right there, even though it was something God said to me in 2013. Like, it is so awesome to be able to go through the notes and the conversations and even the dreams that I've had. And just like right here, 12, 12, 18, it just says, I love you, you are worthy. And it also says, stay diligent. Like, in those moments, just randomly, I'll need that information. It'll just hit me so hard. It's almost as if I'm creating a platform or another way for God to be able to talk to me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what note's gonna pop up. Then some days I read 5 notes, some days I read 4 notes. But as soon as I go to it, it's like boom, like, yes, I needed that right now.
Yeah.
Then I'll put a line through it, another check mark through it, and then the next day I'll go to the next note. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, I that's one that it is a discipline for me because I tend to want to focus on the next thought, the next note, and not go back and look at them.
Yeah,
So thanks for
right.
the call out for that.
Yeah,
So you've got 5 kids. How many you
yeah.
got home right now? Like
Right
that
now,
live at
in the back.
home? Well, yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
two. My kids are
two,
pretty grown. Yeah,
two, and then what? And then so and your wife. What
got
are some of
nine
the?
kids, man. Let's just stop right there for a second.
Yeah,
Nine
yeah,
kids.
yeah.
How do you get places? How does that work?
Big cars, big cars.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cars with an S.
I literally have an all-wheel drive passenger van because we live up here in the mountains. So I got that special just to hold the crew. Yeah. I got some
That's
of them out of the house now, but it seems like they're back a lot. Now they bring significant others with them. So I'll be getting, I'll be, I'll be getting a U-Haul next, all-wheel drive
Wow,
U-Haul.
nine. That is bananas. You homeschooled, didn't you?
My wife, God bless her, did a lot. We've done private school, we've done public school. I'm going to a meeting about a new school in town. It's a classical something or other. We do everything. It's kind of ebb and flow.
Wow. I don't know how you keep track of them kids, man. Like,
Yeah, you can put little devices on them and keep track of them on your smartphone now. It's really, really
that is
helpful.
awesome.
Yeah. So what about you? What are the habits, like some of the relational things that you guys do as a family to keep those bonds together?
Yeah, a big thing is to eat. We like to eat together. It seems kind of
Mhm.
simple, but we do like to just sit down and eat together. And my 10-year-old, I will strategically, I know this is going to be twisted for some people, I will strategically watch rated R movies with her. And what I mean by that is at some point, she's going to come across them anyways.
Yeah.
So why not do it when your parents are present? So then I can pause it and we can have a conversation.
Wow.
So I'll do that on purpose just so it's not. Plus, some of those things are things we have to talk about anyways. So this is almost like an icebreaker. And I want to be in a room when she has to deal with those things. I want to have that conversation with her. So it's not weird. So it's not. And I also like to show her the agenda behind a lot of the movies or TV we watch. Because you can see the agendas,
Yeah.
but if you're not aware of it, and you'd never see it, you'll just be like, oh, well, that's just normal. That's just what people do all the time. That's what she would start to think. But instead, I'll pause and be like, hey, did you see anything there? Did you see what just happened? She'll be like, oh yeah, why did this person say that to that person? And then she'll pick up on it. So now she has the ability to see it herself. So then when she gets older and she's gone, I mean, we can't keep them from seeing these things. At least she'll have in her mind how to break it down and what it means and what the message they're really trying to convey to her. So that's a big deal for me.
Michael, I love that. That's been a point. I grew up in the Bible Belt and
Hmm.
saw so many of my peers get out of their parents' confines and around, especially in the Christian, in the church
Right.
where they were kept from everything and they got out of it and went nuts, absolutely nuts.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And so you doing
Absolutely.
that, but now the other side of it is I know parents have said, yeah, well, they're just going to go, let them do whatever because they got to deal with the world anyways. And I didn't see good things happen there, but to have I was going to say monitored, but a partnered, like you're talking about.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
I used to make fun of some of the Christian radio stations, safe for the whole family. I thought, the world's not that safe. I don't know that I want to keep my
Ooh, that's
kids
great.
in a bubble. But what you said, to be
Yeah.
judiciously taking them through stuff. I remember taking my boys, and letting them watch Braveheart and Gladiator. There's some hard stuff. But I said, man, let's talk about this. Is biblical. Some of these
Yeah,
depictions. It's gory, but
it is.
that really happens. That's really cool to hear you.
We were on an airplane not too long ago, and I was sitting across from her and her mom, and the seat in front of her was playing a movie, and the movie had a sex scene in it.
Oh,
And I happened to look up and see the movie, and I saw that she saw it as well. So then I got up and made some adjustments. I told the people, and I put a jacket in between the seats so she couldn't see. They didn't see more of it. But then we went home. We were able to have that conversation
yeah.
and be like, hey, this is what you saw. This is what was going on. Talk to me about what you feel about that, what you think. This is stuff that's just going to be out there. So it opens up the door to be able to have those conversations in a big way. But I'd rather purposely, I want to be the one there when she watches her first, when she sees all of that. I'd rather be there and then we just kick it. And it also gives me the ability to not make it such a big deal. Like, oh, like scare, like, oh,
Yeah.
what? Like, no, let's just have this conversation because this stuff is going to come at you big time.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? And another exercise we do a lot is I say, hey, so you know Jesus, you know who he is, you know how we feel about it. There's going to be some people who are going to run at you trying to convince you that this ain't true. I'm just telling you, they're coming at you from all different directions. So sometimes we might even role play a little bit. And I'll say, and I'll challenge some stuff that some of her thinking, just so she can get used to having that conversation and being confident in who she is. We just got to have some new approaches as a result, because the world has a bunch of new approaches, right? For our kids. So I just want to be prepared. I want to be right there next to them.
It's interesting. Some of that I've grown into. Like you, I've got older kids, and there's things that I learned through the process. Wish I had done with them, and
Yeah, you're
I get to
practicing on the
perfect.
old ones.
Yeah,
You're
practice it.
practicing.
The best I can do now is let them know, man, it's
Right,
the best I knew at the moment, but
right.
I know better now. Sorry about that.
Yeah, yeah,
I'll
my
pay.
bad.
My wife says we'll pay for your therapy. It's okay. Yeah. Okay. Last one here. Personal. What do you do? I've really gotten interested in this and talking with people. What do you do for you? And whether that's a hobby, fun, play,
hmm
self-care, but it is just what you do for the individual Michael Jr. that lights you up.
There's two things really. I really like playing basketball. I'm not amazingly good at it. I just dunk on people like every other game, not every
Yeah, that's sweet of
game.
you. Sweet.
Yeah. Um, but the big thing is what my dad used to do with me all the time, which is go fishing.
Huh.
That stuff is the best, man. Just sitting back and fishing. And I really like fishing with my 10-year-old. She's really good at it. And just hanging out with her on a lake or near a lake. I don't do it nearly as much as I want to, but I'm starting to make some adjustments. But just sitting there, sitting back and fishing, dude, just throwing a pole out, the water still, and you get a bite, and you don't know what is on the other line. Like there's no way for you to know. You can guess, but it's just a really great experience of really just sitting back and enjoying nature, which is pretty awesome, man.
I
So
always
fishing
thought
for me
it's
all day.
such a great entrepreneurial endeavor because there's always hope. Maybe the sun will shift. Maybe the water temperature will
Mm.
change. Maybe that spot, and it's endless. Yeah, I enjoy it.
That's a good way to look at it. Entrepreneurial. I've never even thought about it like that. Man, that's
Well,
deep.
there you go. Thank you. You can read about that in my book, man. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks for giving us a behind the scenes walk through some of what you're doing. And as always, thank you for what you're
dude,
doing,
you're awesome.
how you're lifting us up.
You're awesome, man. Thanks so much.